Now, I'm assuming you guys have talked about it, so I'm not going to repeat those two just because it's already 1:45. I want to do at least one more question. So in this case, the next question on the list would be the one related to legitimacy. Okay, so I'm going to share once again my screen, sharing that. Just to remind you, legitimacy, generally speaking, is really all about customers or potential customers trusting that you will do the right thing, that you will provide a product if they have paid for it, that you will do a good job if it's a service, based on past experiences. It's a bit of a reputation that's very closely related to it. The words are usually associated. Reputation and legitimacy is having built up a name for yourself effectively, right? So that's the general explanation if I had to explain the concept of legitimacy. And in this case, it's broken up into 3 different types, okay? So the first one then, here that's related to people. There's a few different parts to it, right? You have things like goodwill, public recognition, the product or service. So if you have a specific haircut, in this case, perhaps name recognition, public reviews, things like Yelp and Google ratings. If you have a membership in a business network, organizational sizes. So you having employees makes a difference to you just being a one-man show type of thing. And then, of course, attire as well. So which of these could Andersons develop, and perhaps how? What do you think?
I think their design for their store, in that case, that cool design they have, they could make a shirt out of that and I'd buy it. It looks pretty cool to me. And they could all wear it too. And that could be kind of one of their products that they sell is a cool shirt with their design and Andersons on it. That'd be pretty cool.
Sure. So some sort of to raise the recognition you can have that merchandise and whatnot. Yeah. And you could even use that as a uniform. Sure. Why not? Other ideas?
He talked about how he used Instagram a lot and just social media. So, and then developing the relationships between him and his customers. So I guess just encouraging his customers to leave reviews could also help bring in and just tell them how great they think his business is.
I mean, honestly, for almost everything nowadays we check first for reviews. Do I go to a store or not? Do I go to a new shop? I check what people are saying, and I guess you guys, it's going to be even more extreme than what I do. So this is really important, finding ways to encourage that. How can you encourage people leaving feedback on what Google or Yelp or so? How can you achieve that?
I know some smaller businesses, if they do leave a review, they can get a percentage off of their next haircut, I guess, or service from them. So they could encourage that.
Yeah, that's a big one. How do you feel about that? I mean, everybody, not just Lydia. How do you feel about those kinds of offers? Do you think that that's a good thing, a bad thing?
I love getting discounts. So
yeah.
Say again. You like discounts, Jake?
I like discounts, so I'd leave a review for a discount for sure.
Is there potential downsides to that?
The reviews could be skewed because you're getting an incentive for doing it.
Right. So ethically, that's always a little questionable, right? And I think it's good on other sites like Amazon that they have to write down, I do this review in return for a free product, because to me, I skip those, literally skip all of them, because I'm this is all just fake anyway. You don't have to pay for it. What does it mean? But that's just me. Anything else?
The people that they won't leave, the people that leave bad reviews, they won't go back in, so they're not getting the discount either way.
Right.
So it's not really a loss there.
Right. That's correct. Yeah. What's I hate the place, and then 1 week later, I come back. Can I get my voucher? Do it again. And that makes no sense. Okay. Anything else on this list for people-related legitimacy? Anything that is important or that he could try and build up?
This may be a long shot, but I'd say for goodwill, if he has a friend who is prominent in the community, he could offer to do theirs for free and exchange for good reviews and things to say about him.
Yeah, that's a good point. especially when it's something like, let's say, the zoo. You know, a lot of the small businesses support the zoo, and then in return you get some exposure there. Because of my 2-year-old, we go all the time, like I'm at the zoo like once a week, no matter the weather, essentially. So you see those signs, you know, supported by this, supported by this. Now they have next to the alligator everywhere McDonald's signs, which is so embarrassing. It's so bad, like alligator, McDonald's, like what's the connection here, guys? Anyway, we have product-based, so customer assurance, experiential support, customer service, quality standards, environmentally friendliness, certifications, testimonials, intellectual property, and industry leadership. Any one of those that he could develop? And if so, how do you think that might be possible?
I feel like with like quality standards and certifications, since he has a barbershop, the quality is going to be expected to be higher than like a Great Clips or a Sports Clips. And then like they have to get different certifications than those people do in order to, you know, be considered at that quality.
Yeah, you see that in small stores and shops everywhere, these certificates at the wall as you walk in, and you realize, okay, this is a standard, a gold certification, a silver certification, so on. I see it when I walk into the daycare center, you know, they have like 2 or 3 of those on the wall to try and kind of show that you go above and beyond. Yeah. Anything else?
For another one for quality standards, like they could, like I always see like on Instagram Reels, like there's all these videos of guys doing cool like cuts. Like they could take videos and like show how like much better their haircuts are. Cause like I know a lot of stuff online, they get a lot of views and literally just cutting someone's hair. Like they could always do that. That'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Instagram, that's a big one, and with those reels, yeah. Anything else? I don't think intellectual property is very likely here. Testimonials we kind of have done already, I feel like, and we've talked about that in the people one. Certifications, I don't know if there's an ISO for that. I'm not sure that there is. Customer service, I mean, customer service, generally speaking, is really important, right? That's one of the main ways that you can, as a small business, really differentiate yourself from the bigger competitors, is to do a really good job of following up with people to make sure that if anybody did actually have a bad experience, to try and make it right with them. So that's usually why people are willing to spend more, is to get that extra service over others. Okay, let's jump into the last one then, organization-based. And this is sort of like more of the top level, okay? So an internet presence, firm name, the media organizational visibility, which can be through, you know, interviews, articles, and so on. History, like how long have you been around? The time commitment, you know, are you working only in the afternoon? So are you open all day long? And which goes hand in hand with hours of operation and days of operation. Do you have a dedicated phone line? Are you an LLC or are you quote unquote only a sole proprietorship? Do you have a physical, you know, office or not for the physical setting? And then public listings, obviously on Google and so on and so forth. Which ones of those does he have? And if any of them are lacking, you know, what could he do?
Since he is a newer business in the community and there are a lot of already established barbershops, like I know they're talking about Shorty's in the article is like one of the longest standing businesses in Normal. Just kind of partnering with the other smaller businesses and just asking maybe for to put business cards or like flyers up in their store to just kind of like bring some awareness around town for them.
Sure. What else?
His days of operation were pretty set and standard. So I think
Yeah.
from Tuesday to Friday they were the same, and then
Yeah, pretty standard for a small business. Saturday most of the day. The only thing there perhaps, but that's difficult for a small business, is to say, can we open on a Sunday? Don't know whether that's important for a barber, because as Paul in the small discussion was mentioning, you know, people at the moment anyway with COVID going on, as you know, they might not actually go into the office. But beforehand, I don't know whether for a barber it was more important to be open during the week when people are at the office and then come in, or whether it would be more important to be open on the weekend. But yeah, it's pretty standard. He has a physical setting. He has a, you know, public listings, and he has a firm name. Anything you see here that could be improved?
It's kind of like a small thing, but I feel like with the phone line at any like barbershop, it's always kind of awkward because if the phone rings, they have to stop the haircut to answer it. So it's not always consistent that they're going to answer and that you can get them to do so. So I think if you could find a way to improve that.
Any ideas, anybody? How can you do that? What's the easiest way? If you yourself are providing a service, right? Doesn't need to only be a barbershop. It can be that you're dealing with somebody at, checking people in at the hotel or so. What can you do to avoid that whole, you having to interrupt what you're doing with a current customer, and perhaps the customer who's calling being annoyed that they have to wait forever in some sort of waiting line?
You could hire.
Okay. 3 people at once. Paul, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, yeah, just hiring somebody to answer phone calls, or having some sort of a messaging system that they can just send like a instant message, and they can be answered when somebody gets the chance instead of stopping what they were doing.
So you can go the technological route. For the personal route, the hiring, does this person have to be paid? Everybody, what do you think? You're shaking your head because you want to be paid, but does it have to be paid?
I'm not going to take a job. I'm not going to get paid. Even if it's just answering the phone, I'm going to answer the phone. I'm going to need $10 an hour to do it.
It's
Yeah,
so funny how things change. It is so funny. Like when I was where you are, right? When I finished my studies, I was begging for a job. I was working for month and month internship unpaid because the situation was so different. Like there was no jobs. It was like, okay, well, there were some jobs, but it was, it was the recession and people were just like, no, we don't need anyone. And you are in the situation where you're like, if I'm working, I'm going to get paid. It's so funny. I mean, it's good. I'm not laughing. Like what you're saying is right. I'm just so happy for you guys. It's like you're in a brilliant situation at the moment. I'm really happy for you guys that you get into the workforce now. Honestly, that's like, I've read an article yesterday on how the people who were sort of like finishing around my time, they are really like in a bad position because once you start off badly, you didn't get the jobs that you wanted and you kind of went into a different route. It's difficult to switch routes, whereas for you guys, you coming in, you're getting the jobs you may want. It's going to be much faster to jump up. So honestly, you've been dealt a fortunate hand in some ways. So I'm very happy for you. Okay, I'm still sharing. I'm just realizing, okay, let me stop. So let's do the quiz.